Welcome to Power Players. My name is Amy Gregory. I'm the founder of Powerhouse, brokered by eXp Realty. And every week we are interviewing top industry experts to help you build a bigger, better, more scalable real estate business so that you can take a month off in the summer or something equally fun.
Or 3.
If you're me. Yeah, right? I'm like something fantastic. If you're not, make sure you like and subscribe as we're dropping content every single week. Today we have the one and only Candice Morales. You know her on Instagram, Elevate with Candice. She is an expert at personal branding, showing up on video, graphic design. You know, I used to work in graphic design.
You told me
I
that,
literally have a soft place in my heart for Candice. So Candice, tell everyone a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I work in personal branding. I help people show up and show off online. That's my tagline, right?
I love
Helping
it.
you show up and show off online because it really is about putting yourself out there and building relationships in the online space. I love helping people get over their fear of doing that.
Yes.
And it's really because I had a fear of doing it.
Yes.
And when I got over it and that shift in my life experience, really, when that happened, I was like, everyone needs to know.
Everyone needs to do this, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I love your tagline, show up and show off. Number one, that's great branding in case you were wondering, because it's like the alliteration, right? It's the pattern in the writing. But so many agents, and I hear this, listen, there's over 200 agents on my team, and it's always like, well, I don't want to feel braggy. So what are you talking, you've probably heard that hundreds of times too, and I'm like, whatever, you're the bomb. It's like your job to tell people you're the bomb, because if they don't know you're the bomb,
how do they ever want to work with you?
Well, yeah, and not only that, then they're going to go work with someone that's horrible. It's almost your responsibility, if you're the best heart surgeon, listen, people should know that.
And that's literally why my tagline is show up and show off. The show off part is so important, especially for women, because we're taught to be nice. We're taught to quiet ourselves. We're taught to, to be so kind and never brag. And really what that does is hold us back in business.
Yeah, 100%.
Because there are people who know less than us, who are showing up and showing off and doing more business than us.
Yeah.
And that's not okay.
Well, especially when you are uniquely qualified to handle the job and people just don't know.
People literally don't know. It's like if you're an artist and you only ever create art in your mind. How is anyone going to buy your work? They're not, right?
Totally. I struggled with this early on in my career. So my first year in real estate, I'm like, I'm going to use Instagram. And in my circle, I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And this is how I'm going to do it with people I felt safe with. And I did. I had a great rookie year. I did 6 figures working 10 hours a week. I was pregnant with baby number 4, had that baby in October, took the next 2 months off, and I thought, this is like a phenomenal mom gig. Why isn't every mom selling real estate? I literally was like, whatever. And so I launched a course, right? And one of the things of the course of hey, this is why you should use Instagram. This was 5 years ago. Why you should use Instagram in your business is because it's so efficient, right? But it kind of meant I had to talk about my numbers. And I was like, I don't want to tell anyone my numbers. It kept me up at night, cried in my bed at night, borderline went and saw a therapist about it. Because on the one hand, it felt like, oh my gosh, she's so braggy that she brought home 6 figures in 10 hours a week. So you think, well, what are my clients going to think? In every industry, if you're efficient, you get paid more, just so you know. But then on the other hand, it felt like I have other friends that, fly their private jets to their multiple vacation homes where $100 grand feels like, well, good for you. You made $20. You know what I mean? And I was like, how do you coach your clients through those kind of feelings?
It's really thinking about the lifestyle that you want to live. And if you're going to hide and you're going to play small, then you're going to live small. Yeah. And it's really just deciding that you get to decide the type of life you want. And the type of life you want requires something from you that's outside of your comfort zone.
100%.
And so it's really just a decision. And so you can be miserable and just get by and do enough real estate, but never really feel great. Yeah.
But that's kind of I always say that's like repeating the first grade again and again. That's not the point.
It's not
Once
the point.
you're done with first grade, you should go on to second grade and then third grade,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And yet we see agents that are like, well, I closed $5 million again this year. And you're like,
it's really about leverage,
right? That feels stagnant.
Yeah, going back to you saying, this is efficient.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we need to be thinking about in our business. But I think so often we think that we have to work really, really hard. And I'm not saying that we don't work hard. I'm just saying work smart, right? Yeah. How, instead of just having this one conversation, we're having this conversation and hundreds of thousands of people are going to see it.
Right.
right?
It's much more efficient.
It's much more efficient.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I got to when I was really in that space of struggling, like, do I tell people the numbers on this? Because the numbers are kind of sexy.
Yeah.
And I kind of got to the point where you feel a little bit of a responsibility of like, and it's not about me. It's about these other women that actually need to know how to do this. Like, I was in a position where I didn't have to work, but I like to work. And so this is what we're doing now. I guess now we're working. But when it became not about me and it became about helping other women, so I coined the phrase like 100 moms to 100K. And I was like, I'm going to help 100 moms hit 100K. Because amazing. For so many moms, they want the best of both worlds, right? And they don't think they can do it in real estate. And it's a phenomenal vehicle for it.
I think women need to talk about money more.
Oh, 100%. Like, it was bad manners to talk about money.
Yeah. And now I think that it actually holds us back. So I tell the story of I was in the car with one of my friends, and we were going to dinner. He had picked me up, and he said, hey, just so you know, I'm going to probably have to answer a call probably during dinner. This deal's closing today, and I don't want to be rude, but I just want to let you know, like, I really have to get this.
Yeah.
All right, no problem. So at the time, I was maybe just out of teaching. I taught middle school for 7 years.
Too.
Really? That's why we love each other.
I'm like,
yeah, we get it. So I have background in teaching, and so I was just out of the classroom, and he was like, I have to get this call. So he gets the call, and he gets the call while we're driving, and the guy's like, hey, congratulations, and you're just like $100,000 richer. Wait, what?
Did you like fall out of your chair?
I was like, it was like January 4th. And I was like, it's January 4th and you just made $100,000? He's a commercial real estate agent.
Yeah.
Just closed a big deal he'd been working on for a few months. But in my mind, I was like, I'd never made $5,000 a month.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, with the teaching background, you're like, okay, that would take me like 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was like, I think I'm thinking about money wrong.
Yes.
And it was the first time I'd ever thought that because he lived a great life.
Yeah.
He was golfing and traveling and,
yeah.
I never saw him work.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did.
No, for sure. But it's like my job doesn't feel like work anymore because I love it so much.
Yeah, because you just get to have cool conversations.
Yes. And it doesn't have to be hard. I think a lot of people also think like, well, in order to make X amount, I have to grind some, and we see a lot of agents grind.
Oh yeah, until they burn out. Yeah. And that's why 87% of agents fail in the first 5 years.
They leave
their business.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's really women's responsibility, I think, to talk about money more.
Yes, 100%.
To get over the idea that
we
have to give up our entire life.
Money, you should find new friends, right? Yeah. I mean, that's a strong statement, but true.
100% true.
100% true. I mean, you can keep
I want to be the person who makes the least amount of money in my friend group.
100%. 100%. And I just want to sit and be like, what you doing?
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Because it's always going to push you forward and propel you forward. But when I was an educator, I made the most money out of everyone there.
Yeah.
Right?
But this is what's interesting is like, so I have a teaching background. You have a teaching background. We're still both educators.
Yeah.
But like in just like a whole different level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So total full circle moment just happened to me. Like I got my degree in elementary ed. I haven't used it. I've been working in real estate, whatever. And I told my husband last year, I said, you know what? I'm like, this is going to sound crazy, but I literally just want to go be a sub at the high school because I just like want to be like,
because you can.
Because I can.
Yeah.
And I call it like kind of being behind enemy lines. Like I just want to know what's going on at my kid's school. You know what I mean? Like I just want like teachers to know who I am. I want the staff to know who I am. And I want the kids to know who I am and be a little bit nervous of me.
Yeah.
Right? And literally the principal called me. And he's like, hey, we're trying to build this social media thing. Can you come in?
No way.
So I get to go in and teach kids how to be like content
Can I be a
creators.
guest?
Yes.
Okay, I would love
Do you want to?
Yes.
Like I literally was telling him,
awesome.
like okay, this is going to be so fun. We're going to unpack this in real time. Because I was like, well, you realize that like just from alumni, this person. I mean, I literally rattled off 15 people. I'm like, you realize that they have like 7-figure social media businesses. And he's like, what? And I'm like, listen, all we have to do, I'm like, and those are just the people from alumni. I'm like, we could really, I'm like, how far do you want me to go? You want Zooms?
Crazy.
You want whatever? I'm like, I can bring in like world-class speakers.
Yes.
And he's like, are you joking me? And I'm like, no. And he's like, great. They're like redoing the school. They're going to have walls that come up and down. And he's like the yes man principal. He's a brand new principal. Yeah. And so, okay, we're going to talk, Candice.
Yes.
Because don't you think it would be so fun?
It would be so fun.
I feel like we would learn from the high school kids.
Definitely.
Because they're doing content different than how you and I grew up doing content.
When I was a middle school teacher, one of my electives that I taught was how to build a website.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And one of my kids built a website, and he built a website for his aunt who did hair. And this was back in the day when this was not a thing, y'all. When someone can go on and book their own appointment time, which in like 2007
so basically using Calendly.
Yeah, basically, right? And so he made the website. There's the pictures of the hair. You can book your own appointment time. And he came back and he was so excited. He's like, oh, my auntie's so excited. She loves her new website. And I was like, that's awesome. And he's like, yeah, she bought me a pair of J's. I was like, that's it? One pair of J's? You could have got so much more for this website. This skill is going to get you far, you know?
100%.
And I think that we're not leaning into the creativity of leveraging technology. And because we're scared, because we're worried about what people will think of us, because we're still worried about what button to push. You'll get over it. You'll figure out what button to push. Just push the button.
See what it does.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm always like, oh, that didn't work.
Figure it out, right?
I'm going to rebuild that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's just about putting yourself out there even when you're uncomfortable.
100%. So do you know, like, you kind of get to the point, for me, I kind of get to the point where I'm like, if something makes me feel uncomfortable, I'm like, oh, game on, this is going to be epic.
This is it.
Right? Do you get excited when you start to feel a little bit uncomfortable?
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. I get super excited. It's because I know I'm on the verge of the next level.
Yeah. Like you're like, oh, okay, this makes me feel uncomfortable. Got to push through that. 100%.
I think that imposter syndrome can also come into play at that time. You can say, do I deserve to be here? And I think that's a thing that women often ask themselves that holds us back.
Yeah.
It's not about, you're infinitely worthy.
Yeah, you don't have to earn a spot.
Yes.
Like, you just have a spot.
You just have a spot.
But I think, too, is, like, one, we talk about this a lot with, this is what my friends and I talk about. We talk about this a lot, of this idea of, like, you know, you and I are about the same age, and the world we live in is fundamentally different than our mothers, right? Just because technology is different, like just from the technology aspect, and almost like being a little bit gracious with ourselves. We're saying, like, listen, if it feels like you're swimming in uncharted waters, it's because we are.
Yeah.
Right? Like the access we have to technology and to like build legitimate scalable businesses alongside our motherhood, or like that didn't exist for our moms, right?
Yeah. And HD cameras weren't
No,
ruining
that
their
was
lives.
not a thing, right? My kids are like, well, and this is why I love this principal where my kids are going to school, because he's like, I mean, they don't need to memorize geography like anymore. Like, they're literally carrying a world map all the time. But don't you remember having to like know where Uganda was? And I was like, dang.
Have you ever had to
I know
it's
where kind of over here, you
Right.
know, like, but you would, and I've never needed to know that.
Right.
Yeah. And so we still get to be educators.
Yep.
Just in a different capacity. So tell me what's on the horizon for you, like what's coming up for you inside your business?
It's really about leverage now, and it's about scaling. So for a lot of time in the beginning of my business, I thought I had to wear all the hats and do all the things. Yeah. And where I really felt flow in my business was when I began to give up some of the hats.
Yep.
And that requires some vulnerability. And one educator taught me that if you can give it away and that person can do it 80% as good as you,
give it away.
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 And it's just not even worth your time. And I know you say like your dollar per hour. You really have to think about your dollar per hour. And if it makes you money, it costs you nothing.
100%. That's it. When we talk about this we talk a lot inside of Powerhouse about generational wealth and buying investment properties that like fund your lifestyle, right? Yeah. And if it makes you money, it costs you nothing. That is like, write that down.
That's it.
Stick it right here in your head. If it makes you money, it costs you nothing. And I think it's really fun to see so many women like owning up and growing up to it and being like, oh, actually I am like really good at this. And I like seeing the table get bigger.
I love it.
Right?
I always tell people I just pull up my own damn chair. You know, pull up my own damn chair.
Yeah.
And wiggle my way in and share.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, so how can agents work with you?
So agents can find me on Instagram, Elevate with Candice, and I can do personal brand consulting with them, helping them get really clear on the vision of who they are, who they serve, how they serve them.
Yes.
And I can also create them a visual brand identity. So if you're still with that Fiverr Upwork logo that did you good in your year one and it's time to level up, I got you.
Well, and you're good at what you do is like
Thank
show
you.
up and show off, right?
Yeah.
Like I just like it. That's all. There it is. Gets me excited. I'm not going to forget it, and that's the point.
That's on branding.
Therein lies the whole point. You don't want to be forgettable if you are struggling to find your footing on Instagram with your visual brand identity or your own personal brand. I do think it's hard for agents to figure that out on their own because you're so in the weeds of it. And so when you can get that bird's eye perspective, it is invaluable inside your business. Candice, thank you so much for joining me today on Power Players. If you're interested in Powerhouse or learning how you can work further with me, go ahead and click the links in the show notes, and we'll put your links in the show notes as well so you can get in touch with either of us. If you haven't liked and subscribed, do so because we'll be dropping content every single week.